Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The house was wrapped in a hush so deep, it felt like the night itself was holding its breath. From the hallway, the faint creak of a floorboard echoed like a whisper against the silence. I thought he was asleep, he always slept through everything. But then I heard the soft click of my door, and, before I could pull my hand away, before I could even breathe, he was there, standing in the moonlight, his silhouette tall, uncertain, too still to be accidental. He didn't say a word. Just stepped in and sat at the edge of my bed, close enough that I felt the warmth of him on my legs, close enough that my breath caught in my throat. My fingers froze, guilt rushing hot under my skin. But it was his silence that undid me. His presence. The weight of his gaze. I didn't look at him, couldn't. But I knew he saw everything. And he didn't leave. I should have pulled away. I should have told him to go. But there was something in the air, something that had been there for weeks. Since that day in the kitchen when his hand brushed mine, and neither of us moved away. Since those glances, too long to be casual. Since that afternoon when I caught him watching me through the mirror, and instead of looking away, he just stared. We weren't supposed to feel this. I wasn't supposed to notice the way his voice dropped when we were alone, or how my breath quickened when he walked by too close. But here we were, in the quiet ache of night, where everything we'd tried to ignore was breathing between us like a secret ready to spill. I didn't stop. Not fully. And he didn't move. Not until his fingers brushed the edge of the blanket, barely there, but enough. Enough to make my heart race so loud I could hear it in my ears. And then, just as quickly as he came, he stood up. Walked back to the door. Paused. I couldn't sleep, he murmured. Then he was gone. But sleep would never come for me after that. The door clicked shut behind him, but the echo stayed in my chest. I sat there, breathing shallow, skin flushed, the blanket twisted in my fingers like a secret I couldn't hide. The room still smelled like him, clean soap, something musky, something male. My heartbeat didn't slow. If anything, it grew louder, like it was chasing after him down the hallway, begging him to come back. He wasn't supposed to see that. And yet, part of me had wanted him to. Minutes passed. Maybe more. I wasn't sure. Just when I thought I could pull myself together, I heard the door again. He was back. This time, he didn't hesitate. He stepped inside like he belonged there, eyes not meeting mine. He rubbed the back of his neck, as if the weight of what he saw was still clinging to his skin. I forgot my charger, he said, too soft to be convincing. My mouth curved, barely. It's not in here. He looked up then. Our eyes locked, and in that pause, I swear, the air shimmered. We didn't speak. Not for a while. But that silence said everything. The way his gaze dropped to my lips lingered. The way I shifted, and the sheet slipped just a little lower on my thigh. Neither of us moved to fix it. He stepped closer. You weren't sleeping, he said. Not a question. Just a quiet observation, almost a tease. I shook my head slowly. No, his breath caught, like he wasn't sure what to do next, like he was trying to be good, but good had already left the room long ago. I should go, he whispered, but didn't turn. Then go, I said. But my voice betrayed me, too soft, too shaky. His hand grazed the bedpost, fingers curling around the wood like he needed something to anchor him. And then he did something unexpected. He laughed, low and under his breath. Frustrated. Flustered. This is messed up, he muttered. But he didn't move. And I didn't tell him to. We were standing on the edge of something neither of us could name. Every breath, every glance, pulling us closer. But something still held us back, fear, guilt, maybe both. So we stood there, burning in silence. He didn't move. Not fully. Just stood there, fingers clenching the edge of the bedpost like it was the only thing keeping him upright. His shoulders rose and fell with a quiet breath, but his eyes, they never left mine. I shouldn't have come back, he said, voice rough, barely above a whisper. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because deep down, I didn't want him to leave. Not yet. Maybe not ever. He took one step closer. The kind that didn't look like much, but made all the difference. My breath hitched. The space between us was shrinking, charged with something heavier than either of us could name. "You're different when it's just us," he said. "You don't even realize it, do you?" My pulse pounded. "And you're not." He smiled, sad and sharp. "I try not to be." Another step. I could see the struggle in his eyes, the way he was fighting something bigger than us both. Whatever we were, this pull, this ache, it didn't have a name, and maybe that was what made it so dangerous. His hand hovered, then dropped. It brushed against the blanket near my thigh. Not a touch, just enough to feel the heat of his skin, enough to set mine on fire. I almost reached for him. But I didn't. Because if I touched him, I wouldn't be able to stop. "You don't get it," he said, softer now. "I think about you more than I should. I try not to. I really try." I swallowed hard, eyes stinging. "Then don't try so hard." He let out a breath, broken and quiet. His head dipped, and for one terrifying second, I thought he might lean in. My heart screamed yes, but the voice in my head whispered wait. He looked up, and I saw it, all of it. The want. The guilt. The restraint. "I care about you too much to mess this up," he said. And just like that, the moment passed. He stepped back. Not out of rejection, but out of fear that if he stayed, neither of us would be able to resist. He turned, hand on the doorknob, then paused again. "I'll see you in the morning." And just like before, he was gone, leaving the room full of heat, silence, and everything unsaid. The hallway light was gone now. Darkness draped the room, save for the silver slice of moonlight pouring in through the curtains. I thought he was gone for good this time. I thought I'd dreamed it all, until the door creaked open again. Slower this time. He didn't speak. Just closed the door behind him like he couldn't stay away a second longer. I sat up, the blanket slipping from my shoulder. He noticed. His eyes flickered, then locked onto mine. There was no pretense now. No charge or excuse. No pretending he didn't feel what I felt, thick and heavy between us. "I couldn't stop thinking about you," he said, barely a breath. My throat tightened. I didn't dare move. He walked to me. Slow. Careful. Like any sudden motion would shatter the fragile thread holding this moment together. And then, he stopped right in front of me. I was still sitting. He was standing over me, close enough that I felt the warmth of his skin, the pull of his body like gravity. I tilted my chin up. He looked down. And we stayed like that, eyes locked, breath mingling, both of us suspended in something deeper than we knew how to carry. "Why didn't you stop me earlier?" he whispered. I smiled, small and sad. "Why didn't you leave?" His jaw tensed. He reached out, just a little. His fingers hovered near my cheek, but didn't touch. It was almost worse than if he had. "You drive me insane," he murmured. "Everything about you." My lips parted, but no words came. He leaned down, closer now. His forehead touched mine. No kiss. No movement. Just a soft press, skin against skin, breath against breath. I closed my eyes. My hand found his wrist, light as air. Just that. Nothing more. But it was enough to feel everything. "I don't want to cross a line," he said. "Then don't," I whispered. But neither of us moved. He exhaled, shaky and full of things unsaid. "If I stay here any longer, I know." And still, no one pulled away. The silence between us throbbed like a heartbeat. We were so close I could feel his restraint, shaking, raw. So close it felt like if I breathed too hard, we'd fall over the edge. And maybe we would. The rain started just after midnight. Soft at first, like a whisper against the windows, then steadier, draping the house in a hush that made everything feel softer, slower, inevitable. He came in again, no excuses this time, no words. Just the quiet sound of the door closing behind him and the hush of bare feet on wood. The room was warm from my body and the covers, but when he stepped inside, the heat shifted. Grew heavier. Thicker. Like even the air knew what was about to happen. I sat up slowly, my heart already racing. He stood there, soaked in shadows, watching me with that look, like he was already touching me, even though he hadn't moved. "Lock the door," I whispered. He did. No hesitation. And when he crossed the room this time, it wasn't careful. It was slow, yes, but certain. Certain in the way a storm knows how to find you, even in silence. The bed dipped under his weight, and we didn't say a word. His fingers brushed my wrist first, barely there, so light it could have been the breeze. But it wasn't. It was him. Real. Present. His touch traveled up my arm like a confession, quiet and aching, until his palm cupped the side of my neck. We looked at each other like we'd waited 1,000 nights for this one. When he leaned in, it wasn't rushed. His lips paused just a breath away from mine. I could feel the warmth of him, the pull. My hand slid up his chest, feeling the thunder of his heartbeat beneath my fingers. And then, finally, our mouths met. Not a kiss. A surrender. His breath melted into mine. My hands tangled in his hair. His fingers slid down my spine like they were memorizing the shape of my longing. The rain grew louder outside. Clothes didn't fall, they slipped. Off shoulders. Down backs. Skin met skin like poetry, like every word we couldn't say lived in that space between us. His body curved into mine, and I held him like he was the answer to every ache I never admitted. The night didn't rush. It unfolded. Slow, aching, full of stolen breaths and soft sounds that lived only between us. Every touch was a promise. Every movement, a secret. We didn't speak. We didn't have to. Our bodies spoke the words we'd kept buried. His mouth found the hollow of my neck. My fingers gripped his back, grounding myself in the storm of us. We were lightning and thunder and every quiet moment in between. And when it was over, he didn't let go. We stayed tangled, his forehead resting against mine, breathing the same breath. The rain kept falling. But inside, we had finally broken open. The rain had stopped by dawn. Only a soft gray light crept into the room now, casting long shadows across tangled sheets and quiet bodies. His arm was still draped over my waist, warm and heavy, like he hadn't meant to fall asleep, but did. Like maybe sleep found him only because I was there. I stared at the ceiling, eyes wide open, heart thudding in the silence. It should have felt wrong. But it didn't. It felt quiet. Not peaceful, not chaotic. Just a strange stillness, like the air had changed its shape around us and neither of us knew what came next. I turned my head slightly. He was still asleep, face soft in the morning light, lips parted just enough to make my breath hitch all over again. Seeing him like that, unguarded, twisted something deep inside me. He looked young. Too young. But last night, he hadn't felt that way. I sat up slowly, careful not to wake him. The blanket slipped off my shoulders, and I reached for it again, not from modesty, but as if pulling it around me could somehow guard me from the weight of what we'd just shared. The door knocked. I froze. 3 soft taps. Then a voice. "You up?" It was his mother. My heart leapt into my throat. He stirred behind me, groggy, unaware. "Yeah," I called out, voice cracking like thin ice. "Just getting up." A pause. "Okay. Breakfast in 15. Footsteps faded down the hall. I didn't breathe until I heard them disappear. He sat up behind me, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. "That was her, wasn't it?" I nodded. And for the first time since the night before, he looked afraid. Not of her. Of this, what we were now. "What did we do?" he asked, voice hoarse. I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. Was it love? Was it the ache of 2 lonely people colliding? Or was it something neither of us could name yet, but couldn't walk away from either? "I don't regret it," I said quietly. He looked at me like he wasn't sure if that made it better or worse. But then, he reached for my hand. Held it. And in that one gesture, everything changed. The sun had risen fully now, gold spilling through the curtains like a quiet truth. Everything looked different in daylight, his face, the room, even the way the sheets curled around our legs like they, too, were reluctant to let go. We hadn't spoken much since the knock. The silence wasn't heavy. It was full. Full of questions, glances, and things we didn't have the language for yet. He was still holding my hand, thumb moving in small, slow circles over my skin like he was memorizing every inch before the world woke up and changed us. "I don't know what happens next," he said softly. "Me neither," I whispered. But there was no panic in it. No regret. Just reality, standing in the doorway like the morning. He leaned in, kissed my forehead, not a goodbye, not a beginning. Just a moment. A promise. His lips stayed there, longer than necessary. I closed my eyes and let it sink into my skin. "I'll remember this," he said. My throat tightened. "So will I." No declarations. No forever. Just the kind of closeness that doesn't need to last to matter. We dressed slowly. Separately. No rush. The bed behind us still warm. The space between us a little wider now, but never cold. When I opened the door, the hallway was quiet again. Safe. Normal. And yet, nothing was. He followed me to the kitchen, footsteps soft behind mine. His mother smiled at us, distracted by toast and coffee. We smiled back like everything was simple, like nothing had changed. But under the table, our knees touched. Just once. Then he looked at me. Really looked. And I knew, even if nothing more ever happened, we'd both carry the night like a thread woven under our skin. Not shame. Not sin. Just a story that lived in the quiet spaces of our hearts. And maybe that was enough.